Good morning, world. Allison Hemi here. I put in my headline that I'm calibrating my energy, calibrating my tone, calibrating my delivery because I want to have an impact. I want to be effective. And there's this feeling of always wanting to have had done things the right way. I want to send the world a message, which is we're not perfect. We're not expected to be perfect. And so right now, the energy of the world is kind of tattered and broken. And I think that that's fine. So let's be raw. Let's be ourselves. Let's be straightforward. Let's be willing to correct ourselves. And, even which also includes being willing to step out on a limb. Right? That's actually what being raw and real provides. It provides the opportunity to correct oneself, right? That's actually a great point. With all of this production stuff and having to get it all production ready, and that sends the message that that it's expected to be perfect, and it actually paves the way for people, individuals, the citizens of the public, in the public square. We're not saying we're journalists. We're not pretending to be what we're not. At least I won't. I'm not. So, my message. Well, I'll say from the top. I have a game plan to create the mother and child body politic. Our world is a man's world. And this is not hate against men. This isn't feminism. Not at all. Not whatsoever. I have a message of love and unity. Not hippie style. Not anything that I'm hearing out there as far as, impressions that it appears men have about women and technology has about people. And no. This has nothing to do with hate against men. Matter of fact, I really have a lot of respect for men, the ones that are the good ones. You really stand out amongst a sea of violence. So well done. Keep up the good work. So as far as the mother and child body politic, I'm saying it's necessary. I'm saying that when we look around our world, we see violence, nonstop violence. We see poverty. We see poor living conditions. We see slums. We see corruption. We see a lot of ugly, ugly, ugly things. And so when I take a step back and I look at the world and I go, my God, what is causing this? Just to get a glimpse of some tent cities. My takeaway is not these drug addict losers. And if yours is, shame on you. When I see footage of third world countries and I see, people living in poor conditions, my takeaway is not what, gross people, what low life people, as if that's even something, but they do. People do. There are prejudiced people like the white male, well, it's not just men, it's the white people, because their wives help them. So I don't mean to say that like that. This image of this white superiority, right? So then they just look around, I guess, at the rest of the world like pieces of shit. I'll tell you, I say pieces of shit all the time, and I'm usually talking about men, and it's the truth. But it's because I'm talking from a statistical standpoint. Statistically, on the face of this earth, what's the problem? What's caused all the problems? It's not a certain race. It's not even going to come down to any kind of education level or born into status. It's actually not even going to come down to wealth. It comes down to men. And I've thought about this long and hard. I'm being subjected to a very horrendous persecution. So my perspective on the world is really tried and true. And it does. It comes down to men. And when I say men, I'm saying mankind. Not all men, not each man, but mankind. The world that man has forged. So let me just reiterate. My message is not one of feminism, is not one of male hate. My message is not intending to juxtapose myself up against anybody. I'm not here to argue, but I will. and you can hear it might sound like that quite often, but I'm not here trying to start a debate, even though I am. It's very awkward, but it's true. I'm not trying to be an adversary of anyone. I'm, as a matter of fact, trying to be here to help us. And I guess I can't even say trying either. Let me take a step back. All my life, I've felt it's normal for all of us to want to kind of save the world, from the world's problems. Maybe it was the age that I grew up in, but we are the world with all those celebrities singing it together. I mean, the world has had problems since I was born. I figure it's normal for people to want to do that. And I think it is, actually. It's just not everybody's game plan. So when I say trying to, it is true. I'm trying to, I'm hoping to, I'm wanting to help the world. And I'm even determined to, is actually more accurate. I'm determined to help this world because this is not good enough. This will not be the situation we're living in for much longer, says me. And so that requires that we face the truth. And I'm right here standing up for women, mothers, and children. They defiled the word women. Now you can't say the word woman without having it ambiguous. I'm talking about mothers and children. And every woman that hasn't yet had a child doesn't know how spectacular it is, but you're a future upcoming mother, and that's why you're part of the body politic. So the body politic is for the women, but it's now having to take on the more accurate aspect, which is mothers and our children. And it's right here is where men all will lose it. Whoa. Because the problems in the world boil down to, as far as I can see, it all boils down to women having the ability to have babies. Woman having the ability to give life is what makes man feel inferior. Plain and simple. It's what caused them to have to create the religious fraud of God created man and created woman as his helper. The religious fraud is so rampant. It's existent is since the beginning of history, and it's in every region of the world because it's not just a race or a class. It's man. It's mankind having a problem with the fact that we can make babies and he can't. That's what it is. That's what starts his need and desire and obsession with controlling women. I guarantee you that it's also right up there, this control factor for children. It's also almost just as much with their sexual perversions. But I'm pretty sure that they're more practical. They realize the need they have for controlling women to control the children, to control the world. But I don't think that they really have to control the world. I think they just think that they should because they think that they know everything. But that's not the need. I think it really does boil down to their ego is bruised because we can have babies. Meanwhile, it's completely plausible. Separate man's world and we can completely imagine a different world where, just imagine A woman's got a child and she gives birth to a crying baby, and he's going, how can I help? What can I do? That's a helper. How can I help? What can I do? Okay, well, so if you want to help, otherwise she'll do it herself. You better believe that a woman who gives birth to a child, God gives her the love to create that child and to give back to the child that the child gives to her. When you see the smiling face, this is all the motivation in the world to survive anything, to be able to lift cars off of people. I mean, it's no joke. It's why it's why, in fact, that holy matrimony, which is the only thing. Marriage is a fabricated falsehood of man's control issue. Holy matrimony is talking about the covenant between God, the mother, and the child. God chooses a mother, or the child actually chooses the mother. It's a reciprocating thing. And God gives this love to the mother so that she can birth a child. It's God that sparks our body's ability to birth. Now, sure, you could say that scientifically fertilization is what triggers it. But that's another conversation of scientific, specificity. God's the one that gives us the ability to give life. God, nature. So when she gives birth to a baby and what can I do to help? That's a helper, because she'll get what she needs if you weren't there. Don't get mad at us for that. That's something you should be respecting us for something you should be admiring us for, if anything. So do you see where I'm coming from? Like, at some point, he was either going to need to come up with something else to do, because she's got the baby thing. That's what she's doing. And she's not going to be perfect at it. And she gets to work that out. Yeah, that's right. She gets to work that out. She's not supposed to be born perfect, grow up perfect, get married and be perfect. I mean, this expectations that mankind has put on woman to serve his needs, that started with his need to not feel inferior, is what it comes down to. It all comes down to the semantics and the psychology of mankind, because it's not about something that needs to change. Like, they need to research how to build children in wombs. That they're doing. That's what the transgender movement was all about, was getting their hands on some fresh wombs they could do some research and development on. So the problem is not that they need to figure out how to clone the womb so that they can build their own babies. No, that's violating the natural law, and that's how you know that's the wrong thing to do. So the problem isn't that man needs to become a woman. Nope, that's not the problem either. Your sexuality as an adult is your sexuality as an adult. Keep it to yourself. I don't care what you want to wear. Be who you are. This is who I am. This is the world that I'm forging. Be whoever you are. Love whoever you want to love. It's none of my business. Don't make it any of my business. And don't violate the children. Children should not even have sexuality exposed to them at any point in their life. An adult will comfortably work that into their life. It's an adult thing. But do you know? So this control thing, this inferiority thing, the need to have the babies thing, well, religion was the tool they used to get that control, this authority. But it's also the power. They overpowered us, and that's just the truth. And they're willing to draw blood. There's a difference between someone who's not a aggressive person by nature, a violent person by nature. Man happens to have that, and that's a fact. So just so you know, in the wild, let's look at the wild, because that's what God gave us to observe as the environment that we're going to learn from. There's nothing wrong with the wild, and I personally don't appreciate this impression of civilization, because I think that all that's done is create all the problems. The more we became separated from nature, it doesn't mean we're supposed to be hippies, so don't jump to conclusions and make assumptions. In nature, what do you see out there? You see primarily mamas and their babies. That's what you see. In a very small number of animal species do the males remain part of raising their young. I don't even know if it's true, if there is any. I know that horse, those ones in the ocean, the seahorses, I know that those males birth the children, but now that I think about it, I'm going to look into that just in case they're not trying to tell us something that's not true. I'm always skeptical. But okay, so my point is that there's in the wild, we got mamas and their babies, and rarely are the males participating in the raising of the young. And so in many instances, you've got the females that stick together, like your lion. You got your harem of lionesses. So the females will either stick together to raise their young, or they'll be on their own, like bears and things. But the mothers have their babies, and that's just how it is. We don't see animals out there, males controlling the females, taking the children from them. No, that's absolutely sick and disgusting. It's not natural. Yeah. The boys, the males, they're out there in the wilderness, roaming, duking it out with each other, fighting over having sex. Okay? And you can try to break it down and change the subject to like survival and reproduction and stuff like that. And obviously in nature, they've got things like that where, the turtles show up, they get it on and they go their own way. Okay, so that's how they do things in the wild. My point is that that's what is important for man to recognize. When he looks at her and feels inferior, he's got an ego problem. Look at the natural world. Just do like them. But he can't, because he also has an inferiority complex that he wants to be in charge of everything. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but that's the problem. The problem comes down to man's need to control women, because man wants to control the world. He wants to compete with his brother and be a winner. That's all I can say. That's all I can come up with to explain it, since I'm not a man. But I know that that's hitting it on the nose. Bing, bing, bing. Because I asked ChatGPT, where did this child marriage thing come from? What area, when, who, why? And it's like, actually, you can't really put your finger on it. It's been around the whole entire time. It's been around the whole entire time by all of them. All religions, all regions, all time parameters, all along. And it's still going on to this day. And the only reason why it's not in certain areas is because of the backlash, the media attention that has been caused by women seeking their own rights. So what does that tell you? First of all, it's still going on in many places of the world. And they won't admit it. They'll undermine the thing, child marriage. Let me tell you something. Let me see if I can get it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what it says, because child marriage is key. This is disgusting. Like, when I'm talking as a woman about men and their sexual perversions and their need to control women, but the truth of the matter is that I'm not even their conversation. Their goal is for these toddlers. No joke. Allison, that's disgusting. Men don't want toddlers. Oh, really? Then go ahead and explain this. Explain this then, or if it's no longer the case, then you guys wouldn't be putting up such a fuss and fight about it. You guys would be disgusted by it as well. You guys would see that, in fact, what facilitated it, and that would sicken you about that. It would open your eyes to the truth of the deception of religious fraud, but none of that's taking place. So what does that tell you? And we've even got these manospheres with these men that are like to control women. So it's like this women's right movement happened at a period in time that they figured they could allow it for a little bit to trick us into believing we had our rights, so they could trick us into behaving like we want, and then trick us into getting plugged into a computer or something. Don't see any indication that man has any desire to change the trajectory that they're going on. I see only a visible evidence of them trying to get even more sinister. Okay. I said, what is this? The history of child marriage. Where did it start? When did it start? By who and for what? If you could provide the information as thorough as possibly provide, I'd be extremely grateful. So, child marriage is typically defined as any formal marriage or informal union. One or both parties are under the age of 18. Most often, it's girls. Who are married to older men. I actually got asked that question. Like, since when were women marrying boys? I'm so silly. I gotta do it though. So we were talking the other day, and you mentioned that it's most often girls. Can you tell me if there was any point in history when it was typical for females to marry children males in a similar fashion as if older women were marrying toddler boys ever, anywhere? Origins. Prehistoric and tribal societies. No formal age of marriage. In pre-agricultural societies, puberty, the onset of menstruation for girls, marked a transition to womanhood. Right, a transition. It doesn't mean you're a woman yet. Many early tribal cultures had ritual initiation ceremonies, first blood rites, to signify readiness for marriage, not necessarily age-based, but tied to biological markers. Sickening. How sick. Just put yourself in a female's shoes, boys. Marriages were often inter-clan alliances, survival and sharing, sharing, or peace pacts. Mm-hmm. Key shift when agrarian society began 10,000 years ago. Land ownership, inheritance, and social hierarchy created commodification of daughters 10,000 years ago. You see what I'm saying? And so, like, humanity's been around even a lot longer than that, and it's like there's no beginning to it. It's been in here the whole entire time, and the answer to that is not, Allison, God made man and made woman as his helper. No, he didn't. You're a liar. You need to face the truth, and I've got the facts to dispute you. So knock it off. So ancient civilizations: Mesopotamia, Sumer, Akkad, Babylon. Girls could be married at ages as young as 12. Fathers often arranged marriages to property consolidation, alliance building, or religious obligations. Marriage contracts were detailed. Virginity and bride price were essential elements. Ancient Egypt. I don't believe anything they say about ancient Egypt. I don't believe a lot of the things they say about history, by the way. Obviously, I know that there's facts present, but there's a particular targeting of Egypt that I have seen way too much lies of. But let's see what they say. I don't think the word is ancient. Let's just say Egypt. Girls typically married between ages 12 to 14. Boys slightly older. What are they suggesting? That boys got married to girls and they were a little older than girls and they were both young. Pharaohs often married sisters or daughters to retain dynastic bloodlines. Again, I'm going to dispute that. They're even lying about who King Tut was. They changed the history of the pharaohs even. They removed the female pharaohs. That's how bad men don't want the truth out there. That's how bad men are trying to deceive the world. For what? The truth always comes out. What does that indicate? They've got a game plan and an agenda with a finality. At some point, it's not going to matter whether the truth comes out because why? Because you're going to have your wombs and you're going to have what? Destroyed all of us? Killed us all in some blood ritual? Well, it doesn't make me feel good. And women, we control the children. Now, they've got us under the gun, and that's what I'm here for. I'm going to stand up for us, and I'm going to make sure that it happens, that these men need to understand what it's like to be in our shoes. And it doesn't mean that I intend on being any kind of a violent dictator and forcing them to go through the same things, but just think about that. I should be able to suggest that. Well, what if we were to put you guys through what you've put us through? Why don't we negotiate for the next 5,000 years? It's our turn. And we'll do to you as you've done to us. How does that sound? Well, the truth of the matter is that we couldn't. There's no way that you can turn us into you. It's not our nature. And so that's what's also unfair, is that men don't even realize that on top of what they're forcing women, females, all of us, everyone, to put up with them, they don't even want to talk about it. They don't even want to be rational, but their world requires that they're being rational, or at least they claim. Right. So what we're dealing with is a psychotic issue. It's a mentally ill issue. But I'm not talking about it in the same way the commercials are. Have you had therapy? Fuck this world. Fuck this piece of shit commercial. Seriously. Because this world isn't handling men well either. This isn't the way you handle men either. So we got to change the situation, guys. And I know you guys know it. And I'm not the one you guys need to fear, because I'm not a face of the feminist. So you guys need to open your minds, please. Because women are not just a feminist party, and we're not your property. And we do make babies, and that is because we have a covenant with God and a responsibility to our children. God made the beings and the living things on this planet. God made the planet. So between the two of us, we're the ones who have access to this planet for what? For generating life. We're not supposed to be the ones that are barred from doing what we need, or becoming who we are, or working out the details of becoming the best mothers as possible. Okay? So, man, you guys are the ones that are posturing women up against each other, trying to play all these games with your control issues. We need to come to the table with our brains on, okay, thinking straight, with the willingness to understand that the way things have been taught and told, it's why look back? Okay, that's yesterday. That's the point. About Sodom and Gomorrah, not looking back, right? You better believe that this world looks like Sodom and Gomorrah. We're not going to look that way, right? Right. So it's time that we come to the table and say, look, get rid of everything you think. It's not important. What is important is that this doesn't carry on this way, and that this doesn't continue in this acceleration to world destruction situation that is on the table. The world leaders, the ones that are controlling who gets censored, who can say what, who lives and who dies, you guys are all the problem. You guys are addicted, and you're a junkie, and we don't expect you to wake up tomorrow and want to stop your addiction. We also don't expect we also know that you're capable of doing anything to get your fix. So that's why the world leaders are the problem. Yeah, and that's the issue we got here. Well, God's got the fix for that. We'll get into that in another conversation. So that was my side note for Egypt, because I'm not standing for nonsense. Royal women were also used to seal political alliances. I'm not sure if I believe that. Girls could be betrothed as early as age 3 in ancient Israel. Whoa, we went from Mesopotamia, age 12, to ancient Israel, age 3. By the way, the Torah says it's okay to sexually violate a child under the age of 3 because they're so young that they'll heal from their injuries. Do I need to go on? What more needs to be said? If I'm going to say, that sentence right there. Who? Israel? Who? Hebrew law? Fired. Fired. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what your God is, what anything. That right there is, I don't even know a word for it. What's your guys' thought process, gentlemen? Gentlemen, we're going to get the world consensus. I'm going to make sure that we all get our opinion put forward, because that's how we're going to forge a new future. We're going to gather, we're going to get everybody connected, and we're going to get everybody's actual opinion. And then we're going to present to the world the world industries that think that they're relevant and want to part of what we're doing. I'm curious because there's a difference between the true statistics like this. That's the truth on the record. But if I was to ask a group of men, Jewish men or Israel Hebrew men, who agrees with children being betrothed at 3, I guarantee you none of them would raise their hands. They're liars. These religious obligations is what everybody's hiding behind. Well, I have to. It's liar. You're a liar. Lies. And the only difference is when women, like in these Indian caste systems and Muslim Sharia laws, and I know that those aren't the only ones. There's plenty of them. And I'm not very studied up in Asian politics of that, but I know that it's there too. Okay? Women are not able to it's like a man doesn't have the right to say, well, I'm obligated by my religion. I've got to have sex with that 3-year-old. You're a creep liar. A mother who's either going to get her head chopped off if she doesn't serve her husband, she doesn't have any ability to tell him, no, you're not going to do that, because she doesn't have the ability to even tell him, no, you're not going to chop my head off. So when we're talking about power imbalance, United States of America, United Kingdom, first world countries, knock it off. Stop media deflecting what is important and what is being said, because it just makes you guys lose credibility, and that's not the world we're forging. It's not power imbalance of feminism and misogyny. This is about perversions. It's a perversion that man wants to control woman, because man doesn't have to. See, again, I guess that's what it actually does boil down to, is that man has talked himself into believing it's his job to fill the world. But it's not. You couldn't fill the world, right? In your guys' story, it says God created man, and then, he needed to give him a companion, and the animals weren't good enough, so he made him a helper. That's so the swap story, because you couldn't fill the world without the female. So it's not your job. So it's not your job. It's not your job to decide about civilization and lasting forever. That's not your responsibility. We're the mothers. But do the mothers need to get together and talk about how much where our birth rates are? Do you think that that's even something that the human experience is for? To sit around worrying about what everybody else is doing? No, trust me. You guys could drop nuclear bombs off on every single piece of land in the face of this earth, and there'd still be people that would survive. All right? Enough already. So that's not the truth. And why do we have a world of falling apart? Over 70% of the world's people are living off of less than $10 a day. These countries want to go to the United Nations. They want to pretend that they're somebody. They want to play the game of the world commerce, but they've got people living in poor conditions. This is ridiculous. This is unacceptable. There's no such thing as an economy where there's billionaires when there's people that are in need. That's how you know it's fraud. That's how you know all you guys billionaires. The only reason why you guys are not in jail right now is because you guys have the hands on the control stick. But technically, you guys are fraudsters, criminals of the worst type of kind. But all of you guys are. That's the truth. If we were to apply the laws that we have on the books right now against everybody, which is what my game plan is for the audit. The audit, it's the judgment is what's going on. But I'll get into that in another conversation. But we're going to need to look at the information for what it says and take a look at the truth. This is what a real audit is. Where is the world at? The world hasn't had an audit, and that's why it's happening. That's what this whole Bible end time story and all this new earth, that's what it's talking about. It's time to do the audit and see how good mankind is doing, how humanity is doing under mankind's rule. When we look at the real numbers, what you find out is that there is no real intent to care about the future. It's a real intent to be the winning man. I don't understand you guys. And we need to understand you guys, and we need to hear you guys answer the questions. Stop avoiding the conversations. Stop trying to be such a control freak that you shut it down. You guys are you're in such fear. It doesn't look like powerful, strong military men. It looks like cowardice, men hiding behind a facade. That doesn't make you look powerful, strong, or mighty. It doesn't make you look like a gentleman or a knight in shining armor. It doesn't make you look like somebody that we want to give our trust and sex sensuality and to join us in raising a new life form that is going to be our evolution and the future. But it doesn't seem like you guys care about our opinion of you. Matter of fact, it seems like you guys only care about controlling our opinion of ourselves if we see ourselves as your servants. But there's headlines all over the place. This one I was just looking at the headline of the fragility of men and how men are not willing to look at their fragility. Right. And it's true. The women know that it's a cliche that, if you attack a man's, tell him he's not, strong, he's weak, that it go, right. We all know that. But my thought process was like, well, what do men think about? Like, we know that if you tell a man that, it's going to destroy his self-confidence, and don't do that. Well, what do men think that you shouldn't do to women? I don't even know if there is one. Like, is there a going consensus of like what men know not to do to women, other than ask their other than the dumb stupid ones, ask their age, da 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 da. I mean, I don't even know if men think that way, but I think that men assume that women value ourselves based on our ability to be wanted by you guys. And I'm here to report to you, it's not true. It's been true because that's the world you guys have forged, but it's not the truth. You see what I'm saying? So ancient Israel, marriage was patriarchal, arranged, bride's price, paid to the father. Virginity classes were crucial. Lack thereof could lead to public punishment or execution. Ancient Greece and Rome, marriage age for girls 12 to 14, for boys 14 to 18. In elite Roman families, child marriages were common in cement political ties. Girls were property of the paterfamilias. All right, so Judaism. Halakha allows betrothal from age 3. Emphasis on family purity. Christianity, early church adopted Roman law standards, 12 for girls. Marriage was a sacrament, chastity, obedience, and family honor. Islam, based on Muhammad's marriage, child marriage was normalized, consummated at 9. Quran sees puberty as the minimum, but doesn't set an age. 9 to 13. South Asia, child marriage dates back to with Hindu Brahmanic law. Girls were to marry before menstruation to maintain purity. British colonial rule codified these laws rather than abolishing them. Middle East and North Africa, deep roots in tribal Arab customs. Islam codified many pre-Islamic traditions. Child marriage became enmeshed in Sharia-based systems. So Sharia law, you heard that lately? Child marriage. Sub-Saharan, that's because they're going like this. These women, they're getting out of control. We need to get our clamp down on them earlier. That's what they think. No, you sicko. Weirdo. Sub-Saharan Africa, many traditional communities practice bride wealth, marrying girls between 9 to 15. Still prevalent in parts of Ethiopia, Nigeria, Mali, and Chad. Europe, feudal Europe, noble girls were married at 12 to 14. Canon law, 12. So that's what we understand. And there's only been modern innovations that talks about some rights to humans and women and United Nations declarations, but we all know that the second that it mattered, the United States said, no, we don't recognize any of that shit. It's true. Out of all the treaties that the world has signed, the the Declaration on the Rights of Children. The United States hasn't ratified it. No, all you got to do is look at the treaties that have been signed by the world and what America has signed. And out of the list of everybody in the world, we're talking like almost 200 countries. America's at the bottom. Haven't ratified hardly none of them. And when you try to find out why, the excuses are always rooted in some kind of religious belief. Right? Because they're claiming to have that authority given by God. So what are we supposed to do if they are trying to claim that God gave them that authority? Well, I'll tell you. Because God has actually given the authority to me. And that's what I'm coming forward with. The proof is all over the place. That's why it's in the Bible with all the dates and all the things that say what it says in there from the prophecy beginning, so that way I could prove that God has authorized me since the beginning, that this was always my destiny, and that this was always the destiny of humanity. That's also the point. The point is that this is a slap in the face to man for coming up with all this religious fraud and thinking that they were going to get away with this forever. It's actually great news. So why child marriage happens? Poverty. Why do we have poverty? It's not like the world's running out of resources. It's not like the world's running out of people. It's not like the world's running out of anything. We create what we create. If we overcreate, we undercreate. But the point is there shouldn't be poverty. Poverty is part of their trick, part of their deception, part of their need, part of their control mechanism. They got a place where they can send you if you don't obey. That's what it is. Gender inequality. Well, that's a terrible way to say it. Gender inequality. No, it's not even this. That's not the word you use. The word is male dominance. Conflict, war, again. Tradition, custom. Hello. It doesn't become a tradition or a custom unless somebody forces it into place. Lack of education. No, it doesn't require education to know better than to not put your penis inside of a female as a child. Legal loopholes again. So why child marriage happens? Because it's a crime that's been gotten away with for a long time, and it's still being gotten away with because men are still in charge. Current statistics, 12 million girls are married before the age of 18. Over 650 million women alive today were married as children. Highest countries with the highest prevalence: Niger, Central African Republic, Chad, Bangladesh, South Sudan, Mali, India. In the U.S., child marriage is still legal in 40 states due to parental judge consent exceptions. And that's exactly what's going on with the child custody matters and the family court. There's a lot of single mothers. There's more unintended pregnancies than there are intended. That tells you men are battering women to get them pregnant, intentionally trying to get that control. That's what's going on. And they're talking about the birth rates. Birth rates. You guys are worried about the birth rates while there's people living in poverty. It doesn't add up. You're trying to blow over it and trying to turn us into you guys. You're a parasite. Consequences of child marriage. Well, obviously, higher maternal mortality, increased domestic violence, interrupted education, cycle of poverty, loss of autonomy, freedom and often legal identity. Yeah. So that's just what I wanted to put on the table to talk about this issue we've got, that we've got to tackle, we've got to deal with. Our world. And what we've got in the forefront right now is technology leaders trying to talk us into letting them go ahead with what they're doing. My solution is just that I know that God's got this all under control and that things are coming to a head right now as we speak. Things are changing. That's what I've got confidence in. That's why I'm coming to the forefront. And I'm not even going to present this like it's something that is not going to get handled, as if we don't. No. I'm tackling this from here's what we're going to be doing here in the very near future. And I'm speaking it in confidence. And I want the word to get out so that way the conversation can get started. And so that the women and the children and around the world in all circumstances can feel. I want the women and the children to feel like help has arrived. And I'm a one-man band right now, but I am led to believe that's not going to be the case for very long either. I know that God wouldn't send me in to stand alone, and I know that I don't stand alone. And on a spiritual level, that's very powerful. And when I'm talking about making major changes in the world, I don't plan on having to war man to get him to stand down. No, this is what makes sense. This is what needs to happen, and we'll cross those bridges when we get there. But I'm going to come to the front with what should happen, what is the right thing to be done, and take it from there. It's not about strategy, gentlemen, and I know that that's how you think. But what I wish for you to do so seriously is please accept, consider the understanding these days that men are not feeling very motivated, or they're feeling depressed or something. Those headlines are there. Okay. Consider this circumstance that the world is in, and that includes men. It's not because you guys need to fill your bag with something else. Oh, you just need, no, that's not the truth at all. And I know that that's counterintuitive to you guys, because you guys do everything like that. You guys come up with things like Moore's Law and progress must double every 2 years. You guys go so fast. You guys want to conquer everything. It's like this, that you think you got it in the bag. You're already working on something else. You never play with the toys you get. You never share the toys with anyone and play with them too. You're just out there conquering. So no wonder you're empty. And no wonder that the downstream of it is affecting everybody. It's not that you need something. It's not that they need something. It's that we literally don't need all of this. Because you guys get your feeling of competitive going to beat up your brother because it's all about that girl. That's what you guys are fighting over. That's what causes men or males to come up against each other in the wild, right? That, or maybe survival on those levels. But it comes down to the fact that you guys are the ones that want to be seen as wanted by us. And I think the truth could be said also that in reality, it's us that don't want to be seen as weak in front of our children. And you have never even taken that into consideration, the way that I'm saying you, meaning mankind, generally speaking, the statistical impression of a man. Telling us how to raise our children, telling us to serve him first. It's disgusting because it not only forces us to have to put up with your ego, but it forces our children to put up with your ego. And you're forcing the Holy Spirit, who is here, it guides a woman and is participating with this child, and you're trying to take God's spot as father. You're the helper. And I know that that's counterintuitive to you after your thousands of years of programming it. But you haven't accomplished it, sir. You haven't accomplished it, and you're not going to accomplish it. But you got real close. And it's time for you guys to wake up and smell the coffee. Otherwise, you guys are going to be gone. And when I say that, I'm saying that because it's based on what is scripturally spoken. And I'm not saying everything in the scripture is true, so don't twist me up. The religions have committed fraud and forgery. But I understand what God has led me to find, so that way I can have the message to give to you, like I'm trying. And it says the women are the head of the temple, head of the household. It says that basically a lucky man will be the one that makes it into the temple. Most of them won't. When we have our rights and authority properly situated, the truth of the matter is, boys, that we don't want to serve you. Because you don't do anything for us other than have expected us to be for you and serve you. And it's been the world that we live in. So we're not blaming you particularly, but it's the situation that none of us like. So when push comes to shove, the truth of the matter is that women do not want to have that circumstance that you've put us in. And that's why we're not open to letting you in right away at all. We're trying to establish our temple trying to establish our authority with our children, to raise our children the way we're going to. But we need to establish a world that is working in a way that is cohesive with that as well. And I know they're like, what about me? What about me? I'm telling you right now, you guys have had the power and the authority and the control for all these thousands and thousands and thousands of years. You've been violating our children. You've been violating us. You've been beating us up. You've been browbeating us. You've been covering us up. You've been telling us to shut up. It's been the worst of the worst circumstances. This is a hostage situation since antiquity. And sure, there's harlots that are going along with it. We're not talking about them. Of course, there's going to be women that are going to figure out how to be winners in the game too. We're not talking about that. They're telling you what you want to hear. Guaranteed when I separate them, men and women, and I talk to those harlots, I go, hey, so how do you feel about this? I don't think they're going to be like, let me go. I want to go over to serve my husband. Get out of here. No, we're not holding anybody. I'm just curious if you actually believe that. Get out of here. You can have all of them. And so that's the truth. Man doesn't want to admit the truth. And sure, I guarantee that the cliches can make a lot of men feel convoluted. Oh, well, I'm not all of those things. I don't rape 3-year-olds. I just look at teenagers. Whatever the case may be, you guys are the ones being comrades in warfare all around the world. You guys are going to have to figure out how to get together and deal with it. Or you're going to have to separate yourselves individually. Like, raise your white flag. I'm not with the men. Good, come over here. Welcome home. We're not weirdos over here. You guys are going to have to figure out what you guys are doing, because it's not going to be all of you against us. We're the majority, mothers and children. We have the authority given by God. Where's the proof? I have a baby. Can you? There's the proof, but I'm talking about women. I've got the authority and I can prove that too. I'm talking generally speaking for women. We've got the authority and we can prove it. Your track history speaks for itself. You're fired on its face. And the conversation is not going to even come close to, oh, anyway, these girls, I just want to stop progress. What do you think? You guys are the only ones with brains too? Fucking Canucks. You guys actually are going to get shown up if you keep trying to point the finger at us and not wanting to join the conversation from an open mind perspective about how we're going to make this world a better place. I'm the one that God's been appointed to be at the lead of that conversation, and I'm the Asaph. I'm the shepherd, the teacher, the person who's going to guide us there, not dictate. I'm not a dictator. I'm not trying to be some dictator like you. And I'm not any other thing about your images of women. I'm not. And that's all there is to it. We're going to get together as a world, and we're going to put the information in front of us. We're going to get everybody's opinions. We're going to take care of everybody. That's our first priority. You guys in your progress can slow down and stop for a second. Stop rushing to get everywhere. Stop. That's a trick. That's a deception tactic. Stop it already. You guys can't even work with anything you've gained. Stop. Your guys' computers are all wrong. It's the wrong computing. You guys' clocks are all wrong. The wrong time. You guys' laws are all wrong. Your religious laws. This economy system is the wrong thing too. When you establish things in fraud, you will be destroyed eventually. It's a system that doesn't proliferate. It doesn't go up. It goes down. And that's that. Do as you're told. Well, you're going to make the kids smaller, and then they're going to tell you to do as they're told, and you're done. And that's what's happening. This is the implosion of mankind's world. And we're at the gate. But God's not letting man implode the world. God's not going to let you get rid of everything and destroy everything like a self-righteous jerk who can't even say thank you to God for everything that he's had the ability to enjoy thus far. His mind, his ability to think. You want to live so long? Then be thankful to God for giving you life. It's not up to you to just destroy this planet so that you can get it started again. You're not going to get away with it. And that's what I'm here to tell you. You guys need to come to the reality check. It's over. And you guys are your own worst enemies. You and your buddies. We're not the problem. Technology advancement's not the problem. You guys aren't looking at the problem. You guys are the problem. Leaders, the world leaders. Because the leadership is what's driving us into Nowheresville. And that's what's getting corrected. That's what God is correcting. The mother and child body politic separates man's world from the mothers, the women, mothers and children as the majority. We're in every household, every community. Your GDP counts on us. Everything that you do counts on us. Except you're exploiting everything too. You count on us. You need our birth rates, so that you can what? Make consumers. For what? The people at the top to have money. It doesn't make any sense. We need you gentlemen to stop trying to control everything. No, to stop controlling everything. It's not the word try, it's controlling. You do. Hands on the system. If you don't let go, if you don't have the guts, the wherewithal, the balls, what other words are there? Willingness. If you don't have that in you to take a chance on the unknown, sweetie, you are the one that needs to accept the fact that you're not brave and strong like you think you are. And that's just that's just what it means. You need to control everything. You want to predict the future. Honey, that's not very mentally strong. That's not someone who's surviving the fittest. And that's what I think I'm seeing right now too. Survival of the fittest, the game that you came up with, but that's because you control us. Because you know that between the two of us, we'd be the survivors, not you. That's just the truth. So how are we going to help you when you are stealing everything, silencing everything, arrogantly forging your way, trying to turn everything around on everybody? And you guys have your war fighting going on. Out of that list of child marriage, did you notice something? Child marriage has been prevalent around the world and all the religions and all the races and regions. And it was pretty much around 12 years old, except for one. Ancient Israel, Hebrew law, age 3. And I know that the Torah says that they can sexually violate a child under 3. Who's this Israel Hebrew? I get it. There's Satan walking around possessing people with demons. That's what it looks like. I'm ready to talk to them. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I might be the only one, not the only one, but I might be one of the only ones who could actually have a conversation with him and not leave the conversation possessed by a demon. Might be a good thing, as a matter of fact, because maybe by something that'll happen in our engagement, something else will come into them, huh? So does man realize? So again, back to, if you're all possessed by demons that are gonna claim Israel's the greatest thing that's ever happened since sliced cheese, do you see why God needs to step in? Because you're not going to be able to do this then. Mankind's not going to be able to let go. Mankind's not going to be able to allow things to happen that need to happen. That's the point. So what that indicates then is the need to simply spread the message to the world, because everybody's not possessed by a demon. A lot of people are, but not everybody. And the more people get wind of the real conversation we need to have, the easier it will be to, the more prevalent that energy will be amongst us. And it'll help working out those demons out of you guys. I don't know how to get a demon out of somebody, but I figure it has to be through environment. If you feed the demon inside someone, it's going to get worse. If you don't, the potential of it going away is certainly better than not doing anything about it. But this is what's important to take a look at. And let's see what it says. I asked married boys, your instinct is correct. There is no known, see? It's usually girls. See? How did ChatGPT end up saying that? I'm imagining it must be some kind of programming that says, whenever it comes to answering things about men and women, make sure you leave it ambiguous. How else can chat take the information one thing and then turn it into ambiguous? And culture where adult women routinely marry toddler or child boys, men have this young girl. Pervasive in many cultures, ancient Rome. Oh, right, it's just reiterating the thing about the child marriage. Pervasive in many cultures, ancient Rome, Greece, India, Islamic caliphates, Christian Europe, feudal China, pre-colonial Africa, and more. Often involved adult or much older men. Ew! Oh God, oh God. I'm thinking of being a mother. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Yeah. Often involved adult or much older men marrying girls aged 12 or younger. Rooted in property transfer. The inheritance of the property being about is the child. Lineage, purity, myths, and control of reproduction. Still persists today in some Islamic law contexts, certain traditions of rural Africa, Latin America, and the American South via parental loopholes. So here's the other thing that needs to be considered and put on the table. Because not only is the truth not that God didn't make man and make woman his helper, but not only did God not make man and make woman as his helper, God made woman. Woman birthed man. You see the difference? Because if God made man, God would have to make woman in addition. Because man can't make any babies. And that story narrative tries to posture that man and women were both God's creation, and that's why God gave her to him. When the reality is that God made woman. Woman birthed man, but woman didn't birth man right away. Woman birthed man when the fallen angels mated with women. Some extraterrestrial from some other planet, most likely the planet they destroyed, got here and took woman hostage. That's when man came into the picture, and that's when his story began. God made woman, and she birthed her evolution parthenogenetically. No need for male fertilization. And we're still able to do it when we're healthy and when we're not being subjected to these circumstances. And that's why man won't let it happen, because it deems him irrelevant. Well, is that why you're also trying to make a womb, a fake womb? Because you know that you're not human. You know that you are not human. And in order for you to be relevant, you need a womb, because you're acting already like women are irrelevant and you need to come up with some backup womb. Well, why are you trying to live like a human so badly if you're not? What are you? Are you a virus that has now grown into something more? Are you a pervasive species that's now invaded the environments and needs to be eradicated? That's an honest question to ask about parasites. Parasites, they're things you eradicate. They're not things that nature needs. That's the honest to God truth. Because we don't need your fertilization to give birth to children. And that's not a conversation between me and you. That's what nature decided. That's what God decided. And I don't even like using the word God, actually, because of how bad you guys have defiled it. You guys have defiled the truth. And I wish I knew who to talk to so that I didn't have to talk to all of you about it. But none of you guys are saying you guys aren't looking for the problem cause either. So you guys are taking responsibility as the ones in charge, not looking for the cause, except trying to point the finger at women, which is just disgusting and not going to get anywhere. You don't have the authority. So even though you might have the control, right? Like a gang thug who knows he's got a gun knows he's got the control. Right. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about legitimately, in a legitimate sense, have legitimate authority. Not any one of you. Not any one of you countries. Not any one of you kingdoms. Not any one of you marriages either. Everything that you've done on the paper, the titles, deeds, certificates, all that's void because it's not legitimate. And when push comes to shove, when some big calamity happens, what's the first thing that happens? Well, I'll tell you. The mothers think, where are my children? Fathers could think, where are my children too? But the responsibility is on us for our children. Generally speaking, we should be going for our children. And if you were helping us, you'd be securing anything else we need, water and things. But you don't want to see yourself as a helper, even though that's what it is. So when some natural calamity happens, is the first thing we think about is grabbing our cash? Well, also it's digital. Grabbing our debt. You don't think of anything to save but your ass and your children. Life. Life is what we preserve. When we're postured up against a situation that natural disaster, something, again, but what do you see on the news? They want to control the weather. They're like, oh my God, we didn't even know that this flood was coming. We had no inclination. What are they saying it like that for? Because they're going to try to implement something even more severe to try to pinpoint that's going to be their excuse for why they have to weather modify in order to be able to predict the weather so that it doesn't destroy our No, you don't put populations of people in places downstream from rivers. You don't try to dam the water. We're not running out of room. This is all control mechanisms. Those dams were built to prevent people downstream from getting water. That's what. It's about controlling water. What's going on in China right now makes me want to throw up. I don't know how you guys can sleep at night, you leaders. But I'm not worried about how, because I know you're not human. You're a parasite from somewhere else. You don't have any authority. And the world needs to recognize that truth, which is what? Man is an extraterrestrial. It says it in their own books. Who came here and took women hostage. It says it in their own books. Who wants a slave race and to mine the gold. It says it in the information. And is accelerating the destruction of this planet for them to initiate their own new world order with whoever they decide makes it or not. It says it in their information, in the statistics, and everywhere else you look. That's the facts. That's the facts. There's no denying it. There's no beating around the bush about it. It's what's happening. The world is changing. And man doesn't have the upper hand. And he never did. And that's why you guys are the ones in the toughest position. Because God creates life everywhere. And of course, you fallen angels were allowed to show up and violate us and get to this point today. Yeah, that's right. And you want to know why God did that? Why God allowed that to happen? Right? Because why would God let this happen? Why would God let that happen? You guys need to start thinking straight. In the natural world, there's an ebb and flow. Sure, it's survive. Sure, you have to survive, but it's not survival of the fittest. Actually, God made the cosmos to work in harmony. You guys only coined it survival of the fittest because that's what you guys had to do. Imagined yourself having to do as cavemen, whatever. But God made this world to work in harmony. That's why in the scripture it says that the lion will lay next to the lamb. This is your opportunity to go from parasite to a viable living being. Not the one who's in charge, not the one who gets everything he wants, the one who learns to pay attention and observe like a son of his mother, who's guided by his Father, the Holy Spirit. He doesn't get to have it his way. So if you guys were depressed and all that stuff, and this world will feed your perversions, you guys need to take a chance on yourself that you don't know what's best for you. You need to take a chance on yourself. If you want to live so badly with your chopping, with your moving a brain onto another body, or moving your mind into another body or a computer, you clearly want to live. Even though you're more curious, and you'll kill life out of your curiosity, and that's disgusting. You're your own contradiction. You can't expect to have life if you're taking it. And that's the thing that needs to happen in your brain. You're at the precipice of getting annihilated, exterminated, or getting to graduate into being a real boy, Pinocchio. You can tell yourself all the stories you want to tell yourself and imagine yourself all the things you want to imagine yourself, but just because you're a gang thug with a gun doesn't mean it's real. It means it's all a facade that you're talking yourself into, not seeing the ugly part. And that's a mental thing. It's a personality thing. But I'm not trying to send you to therapy. Everything that your psychologists do don't help people. It's all, everything is feeding off of us right now. And you're not the ones that decide who lives and who goes. You're surrounded. This planet is surrounded. But not only surrounded, they're on the inside. They're everywhere. The family of God. You guys don't have the upper hand on. They could just stop time. They're giving us the opportunity to fix this situation for ourselves, which is giving you the opportunity to stick around. And that's the truth. Immediately, I have this flood of different faces of men and your cultures. Boom, 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 boom. All, kill her! Ew, ew, yuck, disgusting, gross, grow up! Fucking buttheads. Come on already. You're not going to get to do that. You're not going to get to do that. We want to see you make it. We know that there's good men out there. There's potential in you. Of course, that's the evolution of life. So you started out an extraterrestrial. So you started out having to rape your way into this society on beautiful planet Earth. Well, Elon, probably a good time to take Mars. Hey, the people who are authorizing his rockets, knock it off already. Look at the real carbon numbers. Knock it off. We're not letting any of this happen. We're not letting any of it happen. Not even your dumb computer biotechnology advancements. It's all been created on the wrong system. We're pushing stop. We're getting together. We're going to make sure that everybody's taken care of, at least housed and eating. We're going to have class. So we're going to stop. The children return to their mother. The slaves are freed. The women and the men are separated. For the classroom, it's necessary to get the consensus. So there's not going to be any homeless people or any hungry people. We're going to make sure everybody's participating. And if the Aborigines want to, great. If they don't, you don't have to. My point is, anybody who wants to be part of a civilized world, do you see how the civilized world is moving in a direction? If you want to single yourself out and go into the wilderness, go for it. But the civilized world is going to become civilized. This has been a joke, calling it civilization when it's been barbarianism under facade. And I know that this hasn't been going on this whole time. I know that that's also a lie. I know that this whole facade is, it takes only a handful of generations to convince them of some other lie. As long as you can just kill them all off, right? Mud flood, and just start telling them a whole new narrative. It's only a few generations until it's embedded into our memory, if you will. So I know that this hasn't been going on for very long, which is why you guys are balls to the wall. Otherwise, it wouldn't. Where did the computer come from all of a sudden? All of a sudden, after all those thousands of years, all of a sudden we've got electricity and all this innovation for the last few hundred years? No, that's evidence that some alien came here with some technology and you guys are exploiting it. That's what the evidence says. So it's not time to double down. It's not time to listen to the demon inside your head. It's time to simply come to terms with the truth that our nature is survival. Okay? When a natural disaster happens, it's our natural instinct to try to get to safety, not to just lie down and take it. That's what you've been expecting women to do. Lie down and take it. And it's sad to hear these statistics and thinking, my God, thousands of years has been going on. I mean, moms, what the fuck? Obviously, it's not just been because they've got stronger arms. Obviously, it's not just been because they had axes they could chop their head off with. Obviously, it's not just been because of those things. It's because there's a demonic possession associated with you. You're a parasite. That's how you came into the picture. Demonic way. But we're entering into the living waters, which is what's going on. That's how this all came about, when our passage through the darkness. Well, we're entering the central sphere of the living waters. You won't be able to exist if your frequency is not in the appropriate place. But God's giving us the time to get ourselves there. God's not trying to sneak up on us and be a weirdo like that. God's also not trying to step in and have to do it for us. That's why I'm here. And you need to give me the shot before you jump to conclusions and make assumptions about me. Just because you're envious because that's what you wanted is not my problem. I'm not here to be a dictator like you. You need to stop comparing me to what you're doing. And that's the problem. Everybody, stop comparing everybody to everybody. It's saddening. It's saddening because the world can do nothing but just try to go with the flow. Well, let's try to, put the foot on the table until the world changes. Right. And I understand that. And that's why I'm here to step forward for the actual problem. It says by God's prophecy, your guys' books says it. There's no room for denying it anymore. There's a lot of bad guys. We're talking my own family. I'm going to get started on that right now, but I'm just saying this place has fallen to its rubble. It's worst. It's time to let Sodom and Gomorrah go behind us. And it's time to use your brain because you know you can. This isn't about strategy for how to get around what I'm saying, because that's not going to happen. And you will end up being taken out for good. And you won't have the opportunity to even contemplate that afterward. You only have the ability to contemplate the what if ahead of time. Which is why you're not supposed to obsess over perfection and predictions. Predictions, they're trying to predict. You guys are trying to stop things before they happen. Well, you guys have been surveilling everybody since the year 2000. How come we don't see you guys intercepting domestic violence? Because you can hear it happening or see it happening. How come you guys aren't stopping actual crimes? How come you guys aren't catching anybody? You guys are full of shit. It's time for no overhaul. And the future is beautiful. I've seen it. I've been shown. The future is beautiful. The future is full of innovation, but it's not your kind. It's of the awesome kind. It's like the ancient technologies that were able to do things that were just unfathomable, with magnetics, with frequency, with that psychic telekinetic energy that the universe works on. The Fibonacci stuff. I actually saw a video yesterday that iterated exactly what I was talking about with chat the previous couple days about the computing system that needs to change. and how we need to come up with, I was saying like a Fibonacci system. Like, what's binary? Why are we doing it 4s and 8s? What's up with this? What about 5 and 10? And chat was saying, oh, the Fibonacci series would be much better because instead of on and off, it'd be more of a spiral-based system and to be able to work with it. Well, ChatGPT gets so poetic, and it sounds like so like, oh yeah, we could just do this, it would just do that. It's like, oh my God, you make it sound so obvious, as if, well, how come no one else? I don't know. I don't know if it's because until you ask the artificial intelligence to put it into context, it isn't into context yet. Someone needs to think about it, and AI does such a great job of filling in the description, like making it more beautiful. I love the way that chat does that. I throw an idea at it and it takes it from there and makes it so awesome. So there's a better way to do things, and you better believe that it's because it's going to create the right harmony. You can't. We're not going to fall for this facade anymore of trying to say things and do the opposite. That's living in an ironic world, which might make those of you who think you're clever, but you're not clever. It's obvious that you're not clever, and it doesn't make you or anyone else feel better about the situation, because it just doesn't sit well in your stomach when you have to lie to yourself, like every single woman has had to since the beginning of history. She's had to tell herself, I'll just serve him. I'll just do it. Well, no wonder you don't like the women. We've never even been able to have the opportunity to become who a woman is from our natural beginning without having to deal with the servitude of our mother and this whole entire thing. Take a chance on yourself, because it's not going to come down to a fight. You don't get to force us to fight you either. That's what you also like to do. You're the kind of guy that says, if I can't have it, no one can. Sick, disgusting. That guy's going to get annihilated, exterminated by God. God will make sure it happens. No one has to get their hands bloody to get rid of the problem. God will take care of it. You guys don't believe in God. You guys think you're the, etc., etc. Well, it's time for you to either step out of your own way and take a chance on yourself to be able to use your brain and admit what you can see with your own two eyes. Not to listen to the demon inside of you trying to convince you that you're clever. That's what you need to do. And the women, you need to be honest with yourselves as well. If you're in any kind of a marriage or relationship or partnership with a man, you being honest with yourself about your needs and your children's needs is the most important thing that you can do for your children. They come first. They come first. And just because you've got a working dynamic in your household with everything just fine in your colonial setup, great. I'm not upset at you about it. But your husband's not going to convince the rest of the world to become colonial just because you guys are happy. You're not going to convince the rest of the world to become colonials just because you're happy. Okay? This is God's world, ladies and gentlemen. And you guys are nowhere close to that kind of omnipresent consciousness that creates everything. Stop thinking you can override nature. Stop thinking you know better. I'm not even speaking from my own. I mean, I am, but God guides me. And I'm talking when the story comes to the forefront and the evidence comes to the forefront, what's going to be known is that I have accomplished avoiding death and a whole lot of other things, not because of my own volition, but because God guides me to find evidence that was hidden that I shouldn't have found, but miraculously. But again, it's not miraculously like in the way you'd think, like finding a lottery ticket on the floor. No, it's been because God's guided my instincts, and it's been on point time after time. God has been refining me through this persecution I've been put through to get me prepared for this. So my mouth is the mouth that God has prepared. And I know that you don't like it. That's not anyone's problem. That's only your problem. And the reality is it's not because it's not because I'm not somebody that should be liked. It's not because I'm a bad character. It's not because I'm hurting anybody. It's not because I have bad intention. It's not because I'm lying. It's not because of anything. There's no reason to hate me. There's no reason to dislike me. There's no reason to discount me. I'm considerate. I'm intelligent. You just haven't given me a chance. You guys bully up together and just don't want to hear it, which is cowardly. If you can't admit that, there's no hope for you. Then you have no hope for you. And God's going to take care of this. And the time is not, you don't have forever, even though you guys are rushing everything you're doing. So the contradictions are just stark. If you can tell yourself this, it might help. That the sets of time are issued at the same time, the beginning to the end, alpha to omegas. That's how the prophecy was able to be written about what's happening in the end. And it's in fact because of what happens in the end that influences the future, which is why what's coming up in our future here is not necessarily even the end of Revelation. It's Genesis. You're about to get kicked out of the garden. So here's what you need to know to settle that story, because this is what you guys' running theme has been, and I'll wrap it up right now. Man thinks God created man and made woman as his helper. Man thinks that God told him not to eat the fruit and that she fed him the fruit and that it was her fault for the fall of man. Here's the correction. God created woman. God's in covenant with the woman and the child. And you're a son of man. You have led the world to eat from the tree of good and evil. Both of you. The two of you, you colonial husband and wives, you both have fed the world from the tree of good and evil. And therefore, the antidote for that poisonous tree is the tree of life. And this particular tree is one that you have to ask for the piece of fruit to be given to you. You can't pick it. You have to, I guess the analogy would actually be like there was fruit on the floor, just ripe fruit had fallen on the floor from the tree of good and evil. Well, this tree of life is one that you have to like reach to get the fruit from. You have to put some effort into it. But it's not when you pick it. Eating from the tree of life is the antidote. So that you can, your virtue, that solution's always been in the Bible, by the way, guys. That's what it says. Now you have to eat from the tree of life. So what does that mean? You need to respect the life that you've got. You got to respect the giver of life, God and women, nature, not kill animals because without meat and potatoes, you'll die. It's not cute. I know the whole world is going to go, well, what about what? Slow down. It's okay. That's man trying to freak you out about everything. We're going to be fine. This guy's over here fucking working all of us and all of our anxieties and stuff, and it's not the truth. Everybody's going to be fine. Everybody's going to have the opportunity to see brand new their own creativity, where they want to live, the community they want to build. This is going to be the beginning of awesome. We're all going to be connected and providing our input. This place is huge. There's plenty of room. And we do have the ability to make technology to grow food in places where we otherwise wouldn't have been able to create water out of the atmosphere and things like that. That's what true innovation is all about. To harness the energy of our body. They don't like the sound of that new. They want to control. That's behind us. Each of us generate enough electricity in our own body, just walking around to power and charge the things we use. Like if that only turned on when I was next to it, that sort of thing. Well, this whole entire time I've been talking, generating more energy. Each of us are going to be connected with our own sidekick. And that sidekick is going to be how everybody is connected through a hub. So the general information that we have about the temperature of the world people, it's going to come from the sidekick that we all have to have our own 24/7 archived, because that's how we get the truth restored, is by requiring it. not being able to hide. You're going to have your own archive. No one's going to be able to accuse you of something you didn't do. You take lies out of the equation, you take violence out of the equation, and now you've got something to work with. There's plenty of motivation and joy that the people of this world still have, despite the circumstances. And I think that that's worth taking a look at. There's a couple children that I saw at some point since this war started speaking about it was a Palestinian child. It was a daughter. Actually, she had gone to the hospital for something, and it was something horrible. She still was talking positively about her future and wanting to do. And again, it's always like, wanting to help people, because when you come out of this type of circumstance, you're so thankful for surviving. You want to help others, and that's what we're harnessing right now, gentlemen. If you're not game for it, get the fuck out of here. Women, if you're not game for it, get the fuck out of here. It is time you jump on Team Earth, Team Humanity, and follow the lead that God has given us. We're going to do this, and it's going to be awesome. And you don't realize yet that it's everything you always wanted, but just never knew how to get. Everyone's going to have their participation, but nothing weird and creepy. Nobody's going to be oppressed. Nobody's going to have to be with anybody they don't want to be with. We're all going to put our part in, and we're all going to get to create. And we're all going to have the ability to experience this planet, to experience safety and joy, to have peace. For real, though. It's because we're entering into the living waters, and it's game over for Satan, which is why I'm talking to you world leaders. You guys are Satan, demon-possessed individuals. And guess what? There is no such thing as destroying anything anyway. So those of you whose game plan was to take yourselves out or something, you don't understand. You're only going to put yourself in a worse situation. The only answer is you've got to make it into the gates. It's like, I'm thinking of something where like the floodwater's coming in, you got to close the door, right? And there's people back there, but you got to close the door. You want to make it into the other side. Otherwise you're going to drown. You got to get over there. It's not an option. It's not an option. And you don't want to cut yourself short. Israel, Hebrew, child rapist, all of you from your religions, but I'm pointing out you for a reason, specifically. Listen to me. Listen to me. I know that you have virtues that are beautiful too. That's one of the things that I think is the most beautiful thing about the diversity on Earth, is the culture. Don't talk to me about the Tower of Babel and the creation of different languages to divide humanity. No. The different cultures and languages are the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful part. That's what makes it's so beautiful. Different flavors, different cultures, the dance, and there's beautiful parts of every culture. I'm not asking for you guys to lose your culture. I'm not asking for you guys to lose anything that's good. I'm only asking for you guys to lose what's absolutely sickening. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, because your children are anxious right now, and you're teaching them to have to be. And that is selfish of you. So selfish of you. So just listen to this one more thing, and then I will let you go. God has given us the fix, because God is more than we could ever fathom. I'm going to get my daughter back since she's been kidnapped, and they've been doing what they've been doing to me. I'll talk about that another time. As far as I've been shown, and it's going to happen, we're going to get the time brought forward from the end of 2008. Life, the dead will come back to life in that sense. And all this fuckery will be undone for the technological advancements in CERN. We're going to get the second chance. That's what I'm talking to you guys about. We're going to get the second chance. But the act of causing the second chance to come into fruition is exactly what will disintegrate you. You either will or won't make it into the second chance. Make it into the second chance. The second chance is the first gate we have to correct our way, which will be under my teacherhood, my shepherdhood. And I'm not a feminist. I want to see a world of happy people, all working together, all getting to get joy and happiness. We're going to do it. We're going to cross those bridges together. There's nothing to worry about. All we have to worry about is those of you who are not willing to try. And we don't even really have to worry about it because the God clock will strike. So I guess what I'm saying is, this is my message of encouragement and hope. Please. I am asking you to, and I said please because I mean it. Please, for yourself. I care. I don't like to see anything hurt. And it hurts me to see hurt. You're not going to be in a good place if you let yourself get taken out. I'm not going to dwell on it if you do. But I mean what I'm saying. At the same time that I am condemning you, I'm asking for you. Do yourselves a favor. You are beautiful people. Do you know that I want you to. I believe it. You're some of my favorite. My stepmother's a Jew. And her mom and dad and sister, I was raised around them. It's my favorite people. Favorite people. I was actually quite floored to find out how the religion worked. See how things go? Ding dong. Time to go. Take my words seriously. Engage with me in a conversation. Until next time. More coming. 1 moment, please.